91% of business owners never make it to $1 million. I remember speaking at an event in Adelaide, and I remember at the time saying, "Hey, who's in the room has reached $1 million?" And one person put their hand up. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, a lot of people struggle with this. Things that we've done that have slowed us down or stopped us from getting there
Yep.
so that people can skip the parts that didn't work and just lean into the parts that did work."
Yeah, yeah. Learn from someone else's learnings.
Welcome to today's episode of Business Growth Lab. I'm your co-host for today, Samantha Riley, alongside my business in partner and crime. I couldn't help but Leon in our new studio. This is so exciting.
It's great, isn't it?
We finally got it done.
Yeah, I'm still proud to be a criminal. I mean,
That sounds bad. That sounds super bad. Business, hang on. I meant to say partner in business and life is what I actually meant to say. So in our new studio today, my little Velcro dog Archie did not want to leave us alone, so he's podcasting along for the ride today. But I'm excited to get into it.
yeah, it's good. And we'll see if the cavoodle decides he's going to bark or not. So hopefully has
He's
a
been
nap.
pretty quiet. He's been pretty good. So today we're going to talk about something. It was a piece of research that I found during the week. And the more I've sat with it, the more I thought we actually need to talk about this.
Yep.
And that's that 91% of business owners never make it to $1 million. And by $1 million, we mean revenue of $1 million a year.
Yep.
So I thought, well, actually, I want to take it back. I remember speaking at an event in Adelaide where that was my topic, was talking about the 9 steps to get you to $1 million. And I remember I was speaking in a breakout room, not in the main room. So I think there was maybe around like 60 or 70 people in that room. And I remember at the time saying, "Hey, who's in the room has reached $1 million?" And one person put their hand up. And I remember who it was because it was actually a friend of mine too. And I was like, "Oh my goodness. This is actually like a lot of people struggle with this." So I thought today, why don't we talk about just a couple of the things that we've done to help us get into that 9% of people that have achieved that. But not just things that we've done that have helped us get there, but things that we've done that have slowed us down or stopped us from getting there
Yep.
so that people can skip the parts that didn't work and just lean into the parts that did work.
Yeah, yeah. It's always learn from someone else's learnings. I think that's the right way of saying it.
Yeah, stand on the shoulders of giants. I've
Yep.
always loved that, and I think it's a great visual metaphor for, all right, so especially for someone that's short like me, I'm happy to stand on someone's shoulders and look over the top because I'm always looking at everyone up.
It definitely works. And probably discussion for another day, but the amount of online businesses that actually make out over 100,000 is probably also a good point as well.
Yeah, I haven't actually looked at the stats of that,
Yeah.
but I think that'd actually even be quite low.
Yeah, and it's a little bit concerning. So, but that's why we want to talk about this topic today. And I think there's some good things that everyone can take out of it
Yep.
from our learnings.
Yep.
And I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, and I think that before we do get into it, I just want to go back to that for just 1 second, because I think that so many people leave their jobs to start a business so they've got more time, like more choice in how they spend their time, and so that they have more income. And I know that the stats are exceptionally high, and I will look them up for another episode, that a lot of people, when they do start their online business, they actually make less per hour than minimum wage.
Yeah.
Like, that's insanity
Yeah.
because you work so hard. However, in saying that's insanity, I also know that everyone's going to go through that point. They're going to. I mean, there are some people that don't. Our one of our family members was one of them, right?
Yep.
He went from 0 to 500K in 1 week. Like, pretty cool, right? We were all just like, good on you,
Yeah,
mate.
I'll
Good
just
on you.
skip that bit and move right along.
Yeah, exactly. And in saying that, he's still had the same roller coaster that we all have in business, where you have good times and bad times. And I think that as a business owner, you actually need to understand that there are going to be good times and bad times, and have things in place, surround yourself by the right people, know how to get out of your funks, because they're going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta say as well, he did a great job to get to where he got to.
Yeah.
He's also super sharp, and he
Yeah.
knows exactly who he's talking to and
Yeah.
who his market is. So, yeah, well done there.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start off by talking about what slowed us down. Now, we're not going to talk about everything. We've chosen 3 things that have slowed us down or stopped us, and 3 things that have sped up the process or helped us to get there. Otherwise, we'd be here for the next 20
Well,
weeks.
yeah, we could talk about this for hours and
Yeah.
hours on end, but these are 3 that I think were kind of the more major ones. Yeah.
I guess they're the things that came to top of mind. And I think that they were top of mind because they're not necessarily tactics, they're bigger, like higher level things.
Yep.
All right. And number one, this is without a doubt number one. Like, it was so easy to go with this one first. And that was that we spent all of our time working in the business, as in 24/7. Well, not exactly. We do sleep sometimes, we do eat occasionally,
A
but
couple of hours maybe.
yeah, but really long days, and every single minute that we were working was in the business. So it was doing the delivery, it was dealing with team, it was speaking with clients or prospects, and it was never working on the things that were going to move the needle forward. And I think that this has been the biggest problem. And it's still, like, let's be honest, we still slip into this every now and again.
Yeah.
And we catch each other out, right? And go, excuse me.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we're not alone in this,
Yeah.
and that this is I don't know. I don't know percentages, but I would err on the side of majority of people starting their businesses would fall into this because I think it's like, well, even like some of the bricks and mortar businesses, not just online, where, say they were a good butcher, for example, instead of being like the one that runs the shop, they end up getting back on the tools and they keep working in it, they don't actually run the shop.
Yeah.
So same with mechanics and things like that. So from a mechanic point of view. But I think also in this way, when you think you're the best at it, you're the only one that can do that job. And I think that's a big trap to fall into.
I think one of the other big problems when you're working all the time in the business is you're not actually steering the ship.
Mm.
So it's like you're driving without looking at the map. So at no point do you ever look down to go, "Oh my goodness, like, uh, I'm headed in the wrong direction." Like, I remember one day, um, my daughter and I had gone to Melbourne. She'd had a dance audition or a dance competition. That's right. So I'd spent the week with her, and then it was actually my ex-husband and my son were following us a week later. And we were sitting there at someone's house waiting for him to come to pick us up to go to the next hotel because we were going to take a week off. Anyway, time's going on, like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 p.m. I'm like these were times of no mobile phones, right?
Yep.
Like 10 p.m. The landline rings. Oh, I drove completely in the wrong direction for 4 hours before I noticed a street sign. Like the sign in the road that says that they've gone in the wrong way. I'm like, dude. Like, and that's what it's like when you're working in the business. You can end up like miles away without even realizing it, you need to pay attention to your KPIs, your key performance indicators. You need to notice, where are they trending? What's going well? What isn't going well? Like, if you've got something that's not going well, you need to know about it. So if you're not paying attention to your numbers, if you're not paying attention to what's working, what's not working, then it's very, very easy to get caught like totally going in the wrong direction. And that's what happens when you're working in the business. Not just that, but you don't have time to also check in with how you're feeling and how you're going, because it's very easy at the beginning when you're in startup phase to go, go, go. But there becomes a point where all of a sudden your body goes, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And you burn and you start, you're heading into burnout. So if you're spending all of your time in the business and no time working on the business, then how do you get out of that? Like, once it's like too late.
Yep. Yeah. A little side quest.
Oh, I love side quests. Let's go there.
The hustle culture.
Yeah.
I believe it's a time to hustle,
Mm.
but I don't think it's like hustling a marathon.
I think I think I sit somewhere in the middle of this because there's people that are like totally build your business so you never hustle. And then there's the people that are like, oh, it's just like hustle, 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 right?
Yeah.
And I actually don't sit in either camp because I know for a fact 100% that you cannot sustain hustle all day, every day. Like you just can't. And even if you can, and your body doesn't break, even if you can, you still will get to a point where your mind can't think clearly. That's even if you don't end up in hospital, like the
Which does happen.
100% it happens. That's why I mention it.
Yeah.
I know so many people that have put themselves into hospital. Like it's actually scary how many people I know that have done it.
Yeah. So we also have a group of friends that also believe in performance and making sure that their bodies are in the best possible
Hmm.
shape so that their mind works
Optimally.
optimally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clear, sharp, speed,
Yep.
efficiency, all that kind of stuff. And so you kind of think, well, how can you have like hustle like 24/7
You can't.
and then optimal performance, and you just can't. And
Yeah.
I know we've talked about this on a couple other episodes where there's no way that you can be efficiently performing any of your deliverables, tasks, CEO duties, any of those things, if you're operating on like little sleep and like
Not
that,
eating
yeah, that kind of,
properly,
that
like
kind of
not
thing.
healthy because you're
Yeah,
not training or
yeah,
walking or whatever it
yeah.
is.
Did you? I was going to quote a stat. I won't quote the stat, but that your cognitive power after like sleeping for 4 hours overnight or 3 hours overnight, how low it is.
I think it's less than if you were drink driving.
Yeah, it's really bad. Yeah, yeah. So, like,
Yeah, don't drink drive in your business. So, yeah, so there's that side. We do not agree with hustle culture. Now, this is where I do sit in the middle because I do believe that there are some times in your business that you do need to hustle. One of the times that I've noticed you really need to hustle is if you're running an event, because it is really impossible to run an event and not get up nice and early. And, you're getting up early, you're doing setup, often you're traveling, you've got multiple people that you're dealing with, you've got, event people at venues, you've got, you're thinking about your deliverables. There are so many things that need to happen that find that events are definite. Even a week or 2 leading into the event, you've got so much going on. You've got printing and event partners and, marketing, and there's just so many boxes to tick. That is one of the times that I have found that the hustle really kicks in. So, the way that we counteract that is we always block our calendar off for at least 4 days afterwards. Sometimes it can't be longer, but we try for a week, and we always do a staycation.
Yep.
We never used to, and burnout city. So now it's whenever we're running an event, the calendar gets completely booked out. We always go somewhere different. We never stay in the same place. We go somewhere, it's usually exceptionally quiet because it's not like go out and party mode. It's sit in the room, uh, cocktails by the water kind of vibe, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's a really good reset somehow, because when you're hustling and you're moving so fast and you're pushing towards almost like one goal, and which is obviously to get through if it's a launch, if it's a retreat or whatever it is that you're getting through, it's one goal. But then you go, all right, stop that. That's done now. And then obviously off the back of it, you always have things, but you need to you need to move yourself back into CEO mode
Yeah,
and go,
totally.
where are we at? What's happening? And move from there. I think having that space, there's a name for it. I can't remember what it is, but
I've heard it called the third space before. I think it was Adam Fraser talked about the third space. There's probably other people that have talked about it too.
Yeah.
But it's like that space that you go into before you go into like the next space.
yeah, I think it's like, and as an example, and I'm sure this happens for men and women, but they get home from work and they sit in the car for 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's like that's the third space.
Yeah.
So essentially, I mean, 4 days is better, obviously, if you're trying to reset after a massive event because obviously you're smashing yourself, with the event and you're busy and there's people and there's networking, there's all these things going on and you're presenting and and making sure that everything's organized in the back end and all that kind of stuff. And so like it's good to actually recover a bit, reset, and then go again. So that's one thing. And I'm taking you off on a completely epic side quest, which is great. We probably need to get back on track again. So,
I think that, that working on the business, that is, like, part of it, right? Um, and I do wanna add here, this is something that I always used to do when, we had the dance studio, when that was, my first business, and we now do it after every single event that we run with our team, and we used to do it with all of our team back then. So anyone that's involved with, like, back then it was the production, now it's anyone that's involved in our event, like, in-person team, and then we repeat the process with our online team or our remote team. And we call it postmortem, and you used to call it postmortem as well when you worked in corporate.
yep.
And that's the second that something big finishes, so your launch or your event, before you take that time out, it's emptying your head. It's getting everything out, what worked, did work, what didn't work, while it's all still fresh in your mind. So it means that you're able to get everything down on paper that didn't work to make sure that it's prevented for next time because you forget what did work or what are some ideas to make it better. And it means that everything is dumped out of your head while it's still clear or still fresh. And it means that you can just take that time out and completely chill out and relax without thinking about those things. It's just like we're in absolute zero,
Yep.
everything off mode.
Yeah. And the only other thing I'm going to say there as well is data.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what a postmortem is data.
Yeah.
And without the data, how do you make your next event better or your next launch better or your next whatever
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
without the data?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I wanted to ask you as well is what was probably the worst piece of advice that you had that you listened to that you probably shouldn't have or shouldn't
Yeah.
have taken so much?
So this is interesting because I've had lots of little bits of bad advice, but this one is so easy to remember because once I realized how bad this piece of advice was, like I couldn't unsee it. So let me give you a bit of context around when I was told this. So I was at a conference and one of the speakers was a former coach of an elite sporting team. And he was talking about the things that he were the things that were pivotal for him as a coach, and that we should use these learnings and transfer them over to business. Sounded great. One of the learnings was that elite sporting teams always know everything about their competition, right? So let's just say a football team, for example, they know, which full forwards to follow, who's better at attack, who's better at defense, who's the person that runs the puck fastest, who's the ones that's most likely to handball, who's the ones that are, most likely to kick the from the 50-meter line on a weird angle, like don't put them there, like all of these kinds of things, right? Makes perfect sense, right? So as business owners, we should know everything about our competition. I went, that makes so much sense. I should do that. Research people in, what they're doing, research their delivery, how they're doing things, their marketing. It was the worst 12 months of my business because I spent more time watching what they were doing, which was perfect for them and not so good for me. The way they deliver, good for them, not so good for me. Way that they market, great for them, not so good for me. There are lots of crossovers with sport and with business. And we talk to our team about being like a world class sporting team. But I don't think that's the place to do it because it took my eyes off where I was going. It had me sort of starting to go, oh, that's working for them. Maybe I should go over there. And once I realized what had happened, it was like blinkers back on, swim in my own lane, whatever they're doing, they're doing, and whatever I'm doing, I need to focus 100% on that.
Yeah. I think this is a lot of things all combined. So it's things like, you're chopping and changing tactics and stuff like that, rather than sticking to something to make it work. So before it gets any traction, you flip to something else. So there's that, and looking at someone else what they're doing that works for them, but not you, and there could be a different stage from where you are as well. So there's a
Yep.
number of things going on here. There's
Yep.
probably more things than that because you're all over the shop.
Yep.
Um, I still think a little bit peripherals, that's how you say it. You need to know what they're doing, but you don't focus on it. I think that's probably the difference in this case because people are still learning, moving, changing. So you need to know what's going on. I think that's one thing, but focusing on it like full out is not great. Although I will say, if you're going to follow someone that's a sporting team and you're in business, maybe it's Mercedes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know this is actually something you told me about. And the Mercedes team, what they were doing. So Mercedes team was just rather than focusing so much on the competition, they were focused on how could they find that 1% better in every little thing they do. Yeah, and so that's how they improve things like it was a pit stop of finding an extra tenth of a second here, tenth of a second there, but all those little things add up. So there is times I kind of go, yeah, maybe they're not
I
competition
think
in
I
that
think
case, but
I think it's rather taking concepts rather than completely focusing on what the competition's doing, because I think the thing that actually had me sitting up, like when I was talking about that, is like any Formula One team could say, "How can we go faster?" But every single Formula One team's asking that, right? So to be able to say, "Okay, how could we get 1/10 of a second?" And someone said, "Well, what if it was in the pit stop and what if it was in this one little thing?" And how many little things do you find where let's just find 1/10 of a second and over the course of a year, how many of those things can be implemented? And then all of a sudden you've got to, how do we go faster? So it's about, I think like taking the concept
mm.
is smart, absolutely knowing everything about your competition, not.
But I mean, totally. I've just taken some other side quest about sporting teams because race car. That's why. Uh,
Absolutely.
something else that you talked about as well, and I've seen. I know you talked about this in your previous businesses, like bricks and mortar businesses, like the dance shop and things like that. And I've seen as well is not having marketing 24/7.
Mhm.
Um, for me, it's like you could call it something else, marketing 24/7 or keeping your pipeline filled or however you want to
Yep.
say it. But I think businesses can take their eye off the ball. So, sport things come back again. Take their eye off the ball again. And I know back in corporate days, for example, I would find this with who I work for because at different times of the year they'll push for profit. Different times of the year they'll push for sales.
Yep.
And to me, it would do my head in because I'm like, why don't you go for profitable sales?
Yeah, like, let's just do it all, right?
Yeah, because essentially you can make, like some money on a dollar, but what if you can sell like $10 worth and make the same percentage? Like, just yeah,
Yeah.
and then I think did my head in. So, but I think that's what happens with some of these businesses where they get someone they might do like 3 or 4 sales in a row and get, oh my god, I've got all these deliverables to
Yep.
do, and they forget about their marketing. Then all of a sudden they go, oh hang on, my pipeline's going empty again.
Yep, and that's where you see these roller coaster sales. It's like, "Oh, I need to do lots of marketing. Great, I've got some clients. Oh, I need to do delivery, completely forget about marketing, and here we go
Yep.
again." And they're constantly on this roller coaster. Need to be having marketing running 24/7.
Yep.
Must, must, must,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Now, that's three of the topics which kind of got a bit of a side quest in the middle there as well, that we talked about. And there's so many more things than that.
Oh, yeah,
There's a
like I
lot.
said, we could talk about this for 20 years
Let's
straight
do a
without taking.
25-part series.
Yeah, exactly.
What about some of the things that we did do that you did think moved the needle a lot for us?
Well, let's start. I know that I wrote this one down as number 3, but let's move it right up because it's on the marketing piece again. And this is something that we noticed 3 or 4 years into our business journey. Like we'd noticed it right from the beginning, but at around 3 or 4 years, we went 100%. This is 100% something that we need to pay attention to. And that is that with marketing, you need two pieces of or not two pieces, two styles of marketing running at the same time, and it more than doubles your outcome. So let me explain this. I'll talk about some old styles first because this is when we noticed it. So if we did a letterbox drop and that's all we did, we would get lots of calls. If we did a letterbox drop and did newspaper marketing at the same time, we more than tripled the amount of people that we got in, like the amount of leads. So anytime we did one thing, there had to be another thing. Now, obviously, now that's not the way we market with an online business, but let's talk about it within an online space. If you are doing um, paid advertising with like Facebook and Instagram, like meta advertising, and you're not running organic, then it doesn't work as well, right? Or if you're just doing organic and not paid, that's going to be a really, really hard a boulder to push right now. Um, but you need both pieces for it to work better because people will see your ad and they'll go and check out your organic, or they'll see your organic and then all of a sudden you've got something paid popping up. People need to see you constantly out there to think, oh, I just sometimes it takes them a little while to notice you, or they want to just check you out and make sure you're okay. So I've always kept this top of mind ever since I figured it out 30 years ago. Two pieces of marketing at all times.
Yeah. I was just thinking as well is that we talk about the trust factor a lot and showing up more than just once. So the moment you need, actually, I actually don't know what the stats are at the moment. You need to show up by 42 minutes or 6 hours or 7 hours or whatever the hell it is at the moment. But back then, you can see that difference between putting up one post and then putting up, so in your case, it was like the newspaper plus the letterbox drop. And like it was like 3 to 4 fold of what it was. It wasn't double,
Yeah.
you know? So you can see that trust magnification back then. It's always
Yes.
been a thing.
Yeah.
But I think because now it's such a crazy world, it's so fast, busy, noisy, that you have to have more out there to boost it. But it's
Yeah.
still the same thing. It hasn't changed.
Yeah.
But thinking you're going to do one form and just show up once and that's going to work, it never works.
Yeah. Totally. Well, I'm just thinking about us being the consumer at this point, not even us being the business owner. With the coaches that we're working with at the moment, we've known them for a really, really, really long time. We've been watching their social media for, I would say, probably 6 or 7 years. So that we already knew who they were. There was already trust there. But then we see the paid ads also come up. And then what did we do? We went on a road trip and listened to like 4 podcast episodes in a row. So there was a lot of trust building there before we actually decided to work with them.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And I think if we hadn't been on a Sunday afternoon driving and listening to the podcast, we probably would have rung them straight away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you see like how much that mattered because they had podcasts, they had paid ads, they have organic. So there's like we're saying at least two.
Yeah.
And they obviously have more. But you can see how beneficial that is for them for running their business.
Yeah. Well, I just even think about a client that recently worked with me in one. He worked with me one-on-one. We did a really, really intense sprint together. He saw my ads, and on the same day, he's like, "Oh, I really like what she's talking about." And he flicked straight over to my organic, watched a whole heap of my content, listened to a podcast episode, saw me on YouTube, watched my short form, and sent me a DM on Instagram, and we were working together the very next day. But it wasn't just, I saw an ad and I worked with
Yeah.
you. There was a big rabbit hole that happened after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. What do you think were some of the other pieces that made a big difference?
So we did just mention it then that we went on a road trip and then we listened to 4 podcast episodes, and that's when we hired our coach. And that is exactly when we make a lot of our big decisions. It's when we're taking time out. So I think we talked about it maybe on our last podcast episode that on Wednesdays after we do our group coaching call, we always go and have coffee and always take an hour out and make notes. And that's when things drop in, especially when I'm sitting in the sun.
Yep.
Right? Definitely a sun person. It's sort of when we're taking time away from the business, especially when we're taking large amounts of time away from the business, especially road trips. Because I think like you're in your little bubble, like when we're on the plane or when we're in the car, you're in your little bubble. There's no phone ringing. There's no external noise, and you're just kind of watching the world go by essentially and chatting. The other time that I think that we have the best ideas and we usually have a very big lift in our business is coming back from retreat. And coming back from retreat, and it's for the same reason. All that external noise is away. You're not doing the deliverables. You don't have a client calling you. You're not dealing with emails. It's completely away from the business. Time to dream big, to envision, to ask yourselves, what if, to think, well, what could we do to make this happen? Who do we need to speak to that could help us with this? You get into more of those big picture questions. So I think having that time away from the business and putting it in the calendar, whether like what time are you having away per week? What time are you having away per quarter? What time are you having away per year? So for us, weekly, we have Wednesdays always away from the business. We always have Friday afternoons away from the business. Every quarter, we always go away for at least a week. And yearly, we always go on at least, one retreat, if not two, and usually sort of a bigger trip as well. And that's when we get the biggest lift in our business.
Yeah, yeah. I think the other thing that happens as well is that we actually move, and for some reason, and you're kind of probably correct me here, but human design, manifesting generator, I know that when I move, the ideas come to me as well.
Yeah.
And if you're on a road trip where you kind of barely doing a lot of moving, coupled with hopefully it's winter and you're sitting by a fire
Yeah.
by the beach. But anyway, so I think that movement also helps. But you're right too. I think that getting away from the distractions. There's just
Yeah, that's it.
it's so easy to pick up your phone and check an email. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
Way too easy,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. So I know that when I was in corporate and I would go to a training day, um, I didn't learn much from a training day. But what I did do though was actually gave me time to think about my own part of the business that I was running.
Yeah.
So that actually gave me like time away from the business to stop and think, because when you're in a training day, you don't answer your phone, you don't do anything else, you don't deal with customers or anything like that. So yes, that was really good. I think that's something similar that I feel when we go away, we chat, and just yeah, run ideas around as well. Just
Totally.
throw things out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really, really important to get away. I think it's really important to not just get away on your own. I'd mentioned retreats. We usually go on at least 2 of these a year. I think they're exceptionally important because if you're going on a business retreat, you're away from the noise, but you've also got the input of fresh ideas. You usually, if you're in the right rooms, you're surrounded by people that are, you know, alongside you playing the same size game, usually a bigger game. It gives you not just time away, but it gets that input of like, oh, what could we do that's different? What can we change? So I'm a big believer of going away for business retreats.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
We've saved the best to last,
Yeah,
haven't
I was
we?
about to say that the last thing we wanted to bring up, and look, there is more,
There is so much
but this
more.
one I think is actually really important, um, and I don't think that it's probably given as much weighting as it should be.
Yeah, I'm glad you put it that way. I thought you were gonna say, like, people don't talk about it. People do talk about this, but I agree. They don't give it the weight that it deserves, because I believe this is the number one thing that is going to have you getting to or reaching, achieving, whatever you want to say, a seven-figure business.
Yeah, yeah. Now we were on a trip with some friends that we were discussing. It kept going up over and over again, and but I think that uh, some people aren't sure how to go about it.
Mhm.
I might say that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and of course, it's making an identity shift.
Yeah.
Now, I saw this at lower levels. I keep going back to my corporate career, but a corporate career, like even so, yes, I was in retail, but when someone would go from being like a team leader to being a store manager, they would struggle to move into the store manager role part of it. They would slip back into the
What they knew?
yeah, well, the team leader role, we know we talked about this previously about people like just staying on the tools, stuff like that, but that's what would happen, right? So they haven't made that identity shift to actually move into that upper role. And so the same with your business, where you need to actually move into that CEO role. You don't see the CEO of a company like on the checkouts, for example, because he's the best on a checkout.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. And hopefully he's not the best on checkout. Hopefully he's best at running a business,
Yeah, that's
or he
right.
or she is best at running a business. So, but in your own business, if you need to make that shift now, I think people really struggle with it.
Yeah, 100%. Because they're showing up as the person they are today. Like, how do I get to a seven-figure business rather than I am a seven-figure business owner? What do I need to do today? And if at times, if you're in a funk and you struggle with that, I have certain people in my mind. So I'll say, all right, I'm really struggling to decide today, what would Richard Branson do now? And it's so easy for me once I go that, oh, well, he 100% would not be doing, X, Y, Z. What he would do is this. And what would so and so do right now? What would this person do that's got, a $50 million business? What would they do right now? And it's other, so that's when there's a funk. But otherwise, it's like, well, I'm a seven-figure business owner. What would I do now? And I was asking myself that question like really, really early on, because once I made that identity shift, that's how I showed up. How does that seven-figure business owner dress? What decisions do they make in their business every day? Who do they hang around? Like who are they surrounding themselves with? What investment decisions are they making in their business, or are they? Because if you're afraid to make an investment decision in your business, if you're afraid to invest in marketing, you're not going to get to seven figures. So you need to be that person today.
I was just thinking that it's a couple of sayings. I'm probably going to butcher all of them, like I normally do, but that's okay. I'm probably going to say it wrong. I apologize. Is getting comfortable with being uncomfortable?
Yeah, you do. You need to get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think a lot of people think, oh, I don't have the confidence to do that. And that's what a lot of people do. Oh, yeah, but I'm not sure of myself. I don't know how to be that person. But here's the thing with confidence, right? Confidence comes after action. You don't feel confident when you go out to do something for the first time. You get confidence from doing the thing, and then you get the confidence. So you have to get really comfortable with doing things before you feel ready, with making decisions before you feel ready, because there's no other way for it to work. There's no other way for it to happen. And if it's, if you're saying things to yourself like, I'm afraid to do that because of how I'm going to show up. Well, you're never going to show up like you've done 10,000 hours before you've done 10,000 hours. You've just got to do the 10,000 hours. There's no way around it.
Yeah, yeah. It's like when you go back and look at the very first episodes of everyone's podcast.
Oh, oh man. I was talking about this just to one of our agency clients just last week, because she was, the question she asked is, do I have the same questions for every episode, or do I, go down whatever track I want to? And I said, well, look, it depends how comfortable you are, because with my first podcast, I asked exactly the same questions for 50 episodes straight. Am I embarrassed looking back? Hell yeah. Did I need to get those 50 episodes to be where we are today? Yep. There was no other way to get here, right? So I learned so much by doing that. I learned so much about me. I learned so much about what my audience wanted, and I built my confidence up. And there's no other way to do it.
Yeah. I think one of the pieces I look at with all these things we talked about, uh, is that a lot of people, probably all of us, tend to want to slip back into our comfort zone. You
Yeah, of
know,
course we all do,
yeah, and
because it's comfortable,
right,
right?
yeah, right. And I think that's probably where a lot of it comes from in the first place. And I think that's why I brought up the being uncomfortable or being out. I forgot it
Being
again.
getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, I had it all out of the way. Yeah, and so I think that's something that you just got to be, you know, be a true entrepreneur. Jump off the cliff and build a plane.
And that's why it's really important to be in the right rooms,
Mm.
because when you see other people playing a big game, it helps you to realize that you may have built a ceiling that you didn't realize
Yeah,
that you've built.
yeah,
So when you're hearing conversations that are bigger, then that becomes your new normal.
yeah. So we've talked about quite a number of what we didn't do and what we did do, and all things that slowed us down or sped us up, whichever way you want to look at it. Um, is there one key thing that you want to leave the audience with, listeners with?
I think the thing I want people to or to leave people with is that it is very easy to sabotage when you're going down the wrong road for you. When your business model isn't right, when you don't like working with the clients that you're working with, if you're doing things in your business that you hate all the time. Like, we all have to do things that we don't like, but are we doing them sometimes, or is it consuming our days? Um, because we need to be really honest with ourselves. I think that every time that things haven't gone my way, it's because I'm really not enjoying what I'm doing on a whole, you know. But as soon as I'm like, "Oh man, I'm back in, I'm on fire, I'm loving what I'm doing," it is really easy to step out of your comfort zone, to do the things that need to be done, to have that belief in yourself when it's fun. And for me, as you know, I'm exceptionally competitive. I love a game. Like, it's why I love F1. It's why I love AFL. It's why it's why I love dancing. I love the game, and I love always trying to make things better. I love the competition of it. For myself, it's not even about like against anyone else. It's like I want to win against me. I want to see how far I can go. I want to um just constantly push the boundaries. So I guess if things feel like right now that they're stagnant or you can't get there, I think the very first question you've got to ask yourself is, what am I not enjoying right now? And what do I need to bring into this business so that I enjoy it more?
Yeah, yeah, awesome, awesome.
What about for you?
It's probably a few things actually. I was thinking, what is one? Um, Although I do like that, what you said about fun, and I think you can make it more fun. Um, and in the words of Jack Sparrow, the problem is the problem. Your attitude to the problem is the problem.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's my favorite all-time quote.
it is.
But I think you can make it more fun, and stuff is going to break.
Mhm.
And when you start scaling, it's definitely going to break,
Oh,
and things are
100%.
going to go wrong. And
100% every day.
people like the government are going to change the rules, and all
Yep.
those kind of things are going to happen. But if you can make it fun, and I think you bring the right energy, and I think that attracts people as well. So
Yep.
that's also a good thing. So that's probably my first thing. I know I said one, but the second part of that, I say second part of that, so that's one thing, is that you need to step into the future CEO
Yeah.
you as fast as possible.
Yep. Like, right now. I actually
Yeah,
think it's right now.
yeah,
It's like I make the decision.
yeah,
I'm drawing a line in the sand. I'm making the decision right now that this is the role that I'm taking, And you will slip back into old thinking because we're humans having a human experience.
Yep.
But it's being aware and having the awareness of, oh, I've slipped back into this old way of doing things. This is who I am, and do whatever it takes, you know. And I don't mean go and rob a bank. I mean, you know, um, what books do you need to read? Who do you need to surround yourself with? Do you need to switch off social media? Um, what rooms do you need to get into?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe it's even like a bit of like self-reflection. When you have your little staycations and a bit of self-reflection, just go, be honest with myself and going, did I slip up? Have I gone back into my old ways? Have I gone safe rather than my CEO? What have I done? So I think that's probably a really good way of looking at it.
Yeah, and I think that one of the questions that we started asking ourselves, I think it was actually back in 2020, we ask ourselves all the time now, is if I was an employee in my business with what would the CEO at our, pay review, what would they say about us?
Yeah.
And sort of taking yourself out of where you currently are and going, okay, well, if I was the CEO, what would I be saying about my performance over the last quarter? Oh, you've got a real funny look, like who is about to get roasted right
Oh,
now?
I was just thinking, so when you're working on something, so um, team leader Leon is working on something that the team should be doing instead of doing his job. When then CEO Leon walks in, what's he going to say?
There's way too many Leons in this room. That's what he'd be saying.
Exactly. But yeah, what would you tell yourself if you're the CEO? Like, oh, that's not.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think that we did only talk about 3 things that were big needle movers, that took us away from getting to that 7 figures, and 3 things that did. And it really isn't like, when we did a webinar or when we cancelled our webinar or when we stopped doing live events or when we stopped our Facebook ads or what we noticed when we did our Facebook ads. Like, it's all of those things too, but these are the biggest things that have moved the needle, and they're not tactics.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
And it's all the tactics that go in with the foundation of these things that actually moves the needle.
Yeah. Yes. I feel like it's a fight against like the shiny object syndrome all the time.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, look, here's a
absolutely.
new tactic. Put it down.
Yep. Stop it. Put your sunglasses on. uh, Thanks for joining me for another episode, Leon. I loved doing the conversation here on this new set. It was so lovely having a little doggy sitting next to me the whole time. Although it was a little bit wriggly, but he didn't bark. He's
It's a caboodle thing.
Yeah, he's had. Yeah, you were a good boy, weren't you? So thanks for joining us for another episode of Business Growth Lab. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it so that we can get this message to more business owners, because we are super passionate about people making the money and having the time to be able to live their life exactly the way that they want to. So thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next week for another episode of Business Growth Lab.